Hey, Jonathan Cummings here from The Troubadour's Journey. What's new and exciting? Let me tell you what's new and exciting here. If you've ever wanted to understand how this whole manifestation process works, what it looks like, I am going to attempt to go from point 1 to point 1,000, point A to point Z here in one video. Now, this video may be a little bit longer than the 10 or 15 minute videos that I've been putting up here on this channel, but that's okay because I really want to give an overview of the manifestation process from the 1919 principle paradigm or the 1919 principle viewpoint, right? So if you've ever wanted to accomplish the big goals, the big stuff, figuring out life purpose and all that stuff, this is where we're going to start, and I'm going to try to just do an overview of the manifestation process. I hope you're ready for this. Let's jump in.
Don't you die with your songs telling you just sing with me.
Now, if you've been watching the videos in the 1919 principle playlist up until this point, you kind of have a little bit of idea of the mind is not a computer. It's more like Earth, right? The reason that we don't understand a lot of the material that was written back in the turn of the 20th century is because coming at it from today, we're looking at it from a different paradigm. We actually even speak a different language for the most part. So you understand some of these prerequisites. But right now, what I want to do is from that launch pad or from that beginning point, I want to talk about what the manifestation process looks like. Now, the first thing you need to do, step number 1, if you're going to plant a seed and let it grow, that seed has to be planted in fertile soil. Now, what in the world does this mean? Well, let me tell you exactly what it means. If you have a book that you want to write, and you've been thinking about that book and thinking about it, and sometimes you're up at night and you can kind of, before you go to sleep, you kind of go through the whole first chapter, or sometimes you think through the whole plot, right? And then the next day you get up and you think about it and you go, oh man, I can't write a book. That's not something that is in my skill set to do. I should forget about that. But then you keep thinking about it, and it becomes something that just doesn't want to leave you alone. What is happening is the soil of your mind is fertile for the planting of that seed. See, if you plant a seed in soil that's not fertile, it won't grow. Hey, I know what I'm going to do. I'm going to make $1 million. Let's plant the seed right here. Bang. It's not going to grow that way because the soil is not fertile. I almost said the foil is not fertile. That would have been funny. So the soil has to be fertile in order for the seed to be planted. So before you even plant your seed, you need to make sure that the soil is fertile. Okay? Now we're going to go through a whole series on that. Right now we're just going through the overview, right? Once the soil of your mind is ready to plant the seed of your overall purpose or your goal or your whatever it is that you're going to create, what does the planting of the seed look like? The act of putting the seed into the fertile soil is nothing more than making a decision, okay? And what that looks like, it looks like this. I'm going to do it, man. I'm going to write that book. I'm going to start on it right now. I'm not going to wait another second. I've been thinking about this long enough. This is what I'm going to do. Now, notice the amount of enthusiasm, the amount of, that's what making a decision looks like. One of the things that I'm going to do on this channel is I'm going to show you what things look like. Sometimes you read a book on the law of attraction and it says, you must vibrate at the same frequency of that which you are attempting to attract. Okay, well, that sounds great. What does it actually look like to do that? That's one of the things that I'm going to show you on this channel, what these things actually look like. Making a good decision, that's what it looks like. There is an emotional aspect to it. There is a physiological aspect to it. There is a certain amount of determination and a certain amount of absolution that happens when making a decision. And the act of making a decision is exactly the same as putting a seed in the ground. It's planting the seed of that thing that you wish to do or desire or be or become or whatever into the fertile soil of your mind. Now, once this is done, you need to give it two more things: sunlight and water. Okay? Now, what in the world does this mean? In order for something to even start growing underground, right? Remember, we talked about this in a previous video about the corn. You know, it doesn't look like anything's happening, but the roots are growing underground, right? It's in the invisible. It's the same way in the quantum world when you're manifesting. The thing that you desire to manifest into the world exists in the invisible realm. It's taking root, but it's not going to take root unless you keep the soil fertile and you give it sunlight and water. So light, sunlight, lightness is just that. It's enlightenment. It's knowledge. It is the act of looking at your goal and saying, what are the things that I need to learn in order to make this happen? Do I need to take a course in something? Do I need to learn managerial skills, right? And let's suppose it's something like, wow, I need to get this degree in this thing in order to be able to do this thing. Well, no, because you don't have to work in the field alone. You know, one of the things that my dad told me years ago, and we talk a lot about him on this channel, he said, for everything that you absolutely hate to do, there's 100 people out there that absolutely love doing it. Okay? Now, this has proved true in my life, proves true right now. I'm starting a new business right now, which you're going to be a part of. Sitting down and doing, data entry work or stuff like that, I mean, really, I'd rather be stabbed in the eye with a sharp stick. I really would. But I have someone on my team who, that's what she loves to do. She can sit there for hours and do data entry. It's what she does on her 9-to-5 job, right? So you don't have to go at this alone. There are other people who would love to be a part of your team, especially if you have a goal that's worthy. Other people will hang on to it with you, right? One of the things that I'm doing on this channel, I mentioned it in the previous video, I'm starting a brand new business, okay? Because I was performing in 4 nationally touring shows. I was performing all over the place here locally in all these different places. And all of that has been closed down now due to the situation that we're in the world. Now, you're probably watching this from the future, but today is April 14th, 2020. Okay? So that'll just give you a timeline as we move forward through this process. But what I want to do is take you with me on that journey, so that you can see my mistakes and where I'm going and how I manifest that new business. And matter of fact, in the next video, I'm going to lay out exactly what that business is going to be, right? So that you can see what I'm doing. I'd love for you to see what you're doing. Now, let's go to the next step of enlightenment just for a moment. By the way, if you've gotten any value from this video so far, go ahead and hit the like button. That'll help other people who want to learn this kind of stuff find it. Helps the algorithm. If you don't like this video, go ahead and hit the like button below so that other people who might like this information can find it. I mean, doesn't that make perfect sense? That's what I do when I see videos I don't like. I say, well, I better hit the like button. I don't like it. Somebody else will. Let's help them find it, right? Let's be generous to other people instead of. I think there's a lot of negativity and a lot of bad karma that goes into hitting a thumbs down button. I never hit a thumbs down button. Never have, never will. And I've watched thousands of YouTube videos. Anyways, I digress. Enlightenment means there are certain things that you need to learn how to do in order to make your seed, which is under the fertile soil, grow. You might need to learn a course. It also is a part of actually writing down the plan, right? Writing down your overall objective, and then setting up the goalposts to that objective, and then writing the steps in between each goalpost is how you're going to get to each rung of that ladder as you go in the direction of that thing. That's a part of the enlightenment process, a part of the planning, which we're going to get into more detail in a later video. Okay? There might be other people that you need to bring. Maybe you need to do video editing. to manifest your thing, and you don't know the first thing about it, and the idea of it just makes you, want to gag yourself with a spoon or something. There's plenty of people who do video editing. They'll love to do it for you, and it's not going to cost you an arm and a leg, believe me. A lot of people who will do that for you, right? So you need to understand that enlightenment means knowledge. What do you have to learn? What do you have to know? If you're going to have a team, maybe you need to know managerial qualities. If you're going to have a certain type of, if you're going to write a book, well, maybe you need to do a refresher course on composition, English composition, or something like that. You get the idea. Let's talk about the watering next, okay? Now, this is very important because what is it when it rains, right? I think my grandmother was the one who used to tell me that, God is crying when it's raining, right? Now, whether it's tears of joy or tears of sorrow, I never figured that out. But the watering process really is a metaphor for emotion, okay? If you think to yourself, if you get yourself in a place where you're saying, this thing that I'm trying to do, think of all of the people who are going to not benefit from it if I fail to do this. Think of the people that are going to be disappointed in me if I don't follow through, right? My mom and dad sacrificed so much to get me to a place. I can't disappoint them. And if you get yourself to where there's tears in your eyes, you're watering the plant. You're watering the seed. And then you go the other way. Think of all the greatness that I can achieve in the world if I can make this thing happen. All of the lives that I can touch, right? The people that will benefit from my success if I follow through and make this thing happen. And again, you get it to the point to where you literally have tears in your eyes. So the emotional part of you that you're bringing to the unmanifested seed, that is the watering process. Okay? So I don't want to go too much into that because this is an overview. Let's go on to the next point. And the next point is very, very important. It's also the thing that a lot of people fail when they get here. When you've done the watering and you've done the given it sunlight, you keep the soil fertile, and you need to keep it fertile. You need to keep visualizing what the end result will look like. Keep picturing it in your mind. Keep it fresh. Keep yourself motivated toward it. Okay? You need to keep watering it. Keep the emotions going toward it, and keep letting yourself learn new things. Be a constant learner. A constant learner where you're constantly learning new things about the thing that you're trying to manifest in the world. Now, once you do that, something's going to grow. Something's going to grow. There's no doubt about it. And as it grows, you might need to do a little clipping on some stuff. You might need to put a board underneath this side because it's leaning this way. You might need to correct it a little bit. You're going through this correcting process of growing the thing. But there's going to come a day when it yields fruit. This is the place where you have to do the work. You have to put your gloves on. You got to put your boots on. You got to go out in the field. You got to start picking the fruits off of those trees, putting them in the basket, and getting them back in the storehouse so they're ready to go to the open market. Okay? If you fail to do the work, if you fail at this point, here's what happens. Your seed, which is in the quanta, will take off. It'll float away out into the 1919 mindset people called it the ether. It'll float out into the ether and it will land on somebody else. And 3 years later, you're going to go, look at that girl. She did my idea. That was my idea. I thought of that and now somebody else did it. You don't want to be in that place. Believe me, I've been there before. I have been at that place before where I had this great idea, did a little dabbling in it, tried to make it work, and then a couple of years later, I saw it on TV in an advertisement. That's not a good feeling when that happens, okay? So you have to be able to do the work and start harvesting the stuff so that it can be cleaned and dried in some cases, put into baskets, packaged so that it can go out to market. That's a part of the work, okay? So I know I went through this really fast, but this is just an overview of what the manifestation process really looks like. I mean, I would love to hear it in the comment section. If you've heard anything like this from anybody else, I would love to hear that, because as I have stated in previous videos, a lot of the stuff that I learned comes from all of the books that I've read, from everybody from Tony Robbins to Deepak Chopra to Stephen Covey, and then the ancient people like Thomas Troward and Wallace D. Wattles and Charles Haanel that wrote at the beginning of the 20th century. They wrote in 1906 and 1902 and that kind of stuff. But a lot of the stuff that I have learned has come from my father, who never wrote a book, never gave a talk, never took his knowledge and insight and gave it to the world. And so a lot of this stuff, my hallucination is that you've never heard this stuff before, right? So I'm hoping to try to give to the world stuff that is new. Actually, it's ancient, but it's new to us, right? And remember, as I said before, when we were in that 1902, 1906, 1909 time frame, we were on our way to becoming enlightened beings. And then the Industrial Revolution started and we took a detour. We took the easy way out. I'm not saying that I am against technology. I love technology. As Stephen Covey used to say, oftentimes, technology is a great slave, but it makes a very poor master. We have to be the master. And I think in order to be that master, we have to understand what we really are. We're not computers. We don't program ourselves for success. We don't install new habits and beliefs. We plant them, we grow them, we water them, we give them sunlight. This is not a place where you're going to find the 5 easy steps to this or the quick way to get that. Okay? The things that I teach are the hard way. And the hard way is a way where you won't be ahead of your competition in the first few months or maybe the first year. But as time goes on, you're going to be ahead by leaps and bounds, because you're involving yourself in the deep things that matter to you, to your business, to your relationships with people. You know, a lot of people have a best friend. I have 6 people, 6. And each one of them is my very best friend. These are the people that most people would say, oh, this is my best friend. I've got 6 of them. And then I've got another whole tier of people that are just my friends, right? The people that I associate with all the time. And the reason that I have that in my life is because I have spent time nurturing these relationships and giving to these relationships, right? And so, and those 6 best friends, they don't include my girlfriend, right? A romantic relationship, I think, is something different than your best friend. So, long story, even longer. I digress from that, but what I'm saying is that these concepts that I'm teaching on this channel is ones that I have used. They have come from sources that might not be readily available to people. Some of them are ancient sources that people have read, but they've read them through the mindset of a 21st century brain, looking at the world as a computer program rather than looking at the world like something that is a part of nature. Not looking at themselves as a part of nature to understand those concepts from the same paradigm that they were written from by the people who wrote them. Okay? So as we go forward, now in the next video, I'm going to lay out my business plan, what I am attempting to achieve over the next few months, over the next few years, so that you and I can be on this journey together. And even if you're watching this from the future, you and I can be on this journey together, hopefully. Okay? So like, subscribe, hit the notification bell, and remember, don't die with your song still in you.